Hello and welcome to Only in Illinois, your weekly recap from Reboot Illinois. I'm Madeline Duback here with Matt Dietrich, and this week we thought we'd tell you what you should be looking for next week when our lawmakers reconvene for the second half of their fall veto session. Of course, budget talks and negotiations are ongoing, and so far there still are no signs that the impasse is breaking. And there also is a big piece of legislation that is changing by the second, right, Matt, on that has to do with ComEd and Exelon and a whole bunch of people's jobs potentially, and maybe even more money from all of us, right, Matt?
Right, and this is a bill, it's extremely complicated and it's also changing minute by minute by minute. There's been huge negotiations. I heard somebody say that the lobbying army for this rivals anything that they've seen in quite a number of years. Bottom line on this bill is Exelon wants a tax, a ratepayer subsidized subsidy in exchange for keeping a pair of nuclear plants open. And these plants, one is in Clinton and one is in the Quad Cities, and they employ hundreds of people. It's a pretty big deal, especially in a town like Clinton, where the power plant is a major employer. What's happening now, or at least what has happened over the last 2 weeks, is this bill has become one of those, what they call here in the Capitol, they call them Christmas tree bills, where every interest group wants a piece of this. We want help for solar energy and green energy sources. The coal industry wants a subsidy. So, and then you have all of these different groups coming together. Things get added to this bill, things get taken away. The latest development was that the Rauner administration became one of the skeptics on this bill because it started to hear from a lot of businesses who were very concerned about a rate change that would make things a lot more expensive for them. So that's kind of where we're at now on this. Bottom line is Exelon wants to change the way it bills its customers in exchange for keeping a couple of power plants that employ a lot of people open. So that's one of the things that we'll be watching next week when the lawmakers are back here in Springfield.
Okay, and so the next big bill that people all over the state could be interested in is automatic voter registration. The bill number is SB 250, and the Senate has already voted to override the governor on this bill, and it needs to go for a vote in the House now. Matt, tell us about that
This is
one.
an interesting bill because when it originally passed in the spring legislative session, it did so with there was some bipartisan support. You had some Republicans on this bill. Then Governor Rauner vetoed it. He cited security concerns that people who were not eligible to be voters would vote under it. And so now it's going to come back for an override vote in the House. We'll have to see if any of the House members, now that the election is over, will they vote against the governor? I'm talking about Republicans here. Or will there be 71 Democrats in the House to do their own override? This bill is one that the bottom line on it is when you apply for or renew your driver's license, you would automatically be registered to vote, unless you specifically say, don't register me to vote. So, and it also, when you apply for certain state services, it would also register you to vote at that time. So again, we're watching that one. You and I have both advocated for this.
You could opt out of being registered if you actually read everything they handed you when you went to renew your license and saw that. But you were talking about the Republicans, and none of the Senate Republicans voted to override their Republican governor. So maybe that's a bit of a forecast for what will happen in the House.
It's possible, although now you would think that with the election passed, that they might not be so tied to the governor. Maybe those who voted originally for it in the House, the Republicans, that is, but we'll see.
Okay. So then we have three different bills. I will read the numbers for everyone. SB 2536, SB 2931, and SB 261. Each of them in one form or another deals with either child care or home health care workers for sick and elderly, or home health care and personal assistance for the disabled who get care in their homes again. Each of the bills would mandate that those people be paid at least $15 an hour, and that some of their that they be required to take some training and get some health insurance, and that those costs would be covered by the state. Governor Rauner vetoed each of them, saying that they would cost the state millions of dollars that it does not have. And the Senate voted in each case to override the governor. No Republicans in the Senate voted to override the governor, and now they all go to the House. The House, in the first couple of days of session last week, failed to override a similar bill that would have raised the reimbursement rate of pay from the state for people with developmental disabilities who live in group homes. So we will see what happens with those. But probably the big things of most kind of marquee nature are that ComEd bill that you talked about, Matt, and any budget negotiations.
When you mentioned those bills that pertain to those who work with people with disabilities, that's another example where you have the governor is just not going to sign bills that spend money that the state doesn't have under a budget. And that's probably a good segue for us to just touch very quickly on the budget situation. The governor and the leaders will be meeting again, of course, but I don't really see much of, there's not really been much movement on this grand bargain that they keep talking about, and they run out of spending authority on December 31st. So if anything, if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that we're not going to see anything grand come out of next week on the budget. And I'm also, if I had to guess, I would guess that this will go right up to December 31st, and we'll most likely have another stopgap to get us another 6 months. It's not ideal. It's not going to solve any of our revenue problems. The unpaid bills are still going to keep spiking, but I just don't see any momentum right now. Last week they were meeting, and Speaker Madigan said again that he advised the governor that if they want to get a budget done, he should work within the parameters that have worked for the last 7 budgets. That means don't try to bring up what Michael Madigan calls non-budget issues. Meanwhile, the governor has been pretty emphatic that he's not going to back away from wanting some reforms. So that's kind of pessimistic or realistic, however you want to put it. That's my view of what's going to happen. I just don't see a real budget coming through. It's bad news for public colleges if that doesn't happen, because they're going to be operating just barely getting along. But again, you just never know around here. So we'll be watching. I'm sure they'll be meeting, and there'll be lots of press conferences outside those glass doors like we've had so often.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you want to take a break from the leftover turkey and the shopping, you can go to our website at rebootillinois.com and actually take part in your government and sound off about all of these issues using our Sound Off tool. You can find it under the Action tab at the top of the home page. You can use the item that says End the Budget Impasse Now, and we've pre-written a letter for you there that you can click inside the box that starts Dear Officials and revise it however you see fit. We encourage you to do that. If you want to sound off about any of these other bills that we've talked about, ComEd or automatic voter registration or those 3 care provider bills, you can certainly do that using the item marked Message from a Concerned Constituent. So we hope everyone watching will take 4 clicks of a mouse and just a minute or two to do that over this holiday weekend so you can take ownership of your government. We hope you're out there spending lots of money boosting the Illinois economy and that you're able to do that this holiday season. Matt, this is our 4th year of doing these. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly grateful for everyone watching and for everyone keeping up with our news and analysis on rebootillinois.com.
Right, and you know, you're seeing this video, Thanksgiving is over, but always this time of year, it's a reminder because Reboot Illinois launched our website Thanksgiving week of 2012, so it's our 4th anniversary. And so from Madeline and I both, thank you for staying with us all this time, and we hope to keep bringing you a whole lot more in the future.
All right, that's it for this week. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next edition of Only in Illinois.